Our conversation is with Mr. Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov. Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. One of his interesting assignments was to brainwash foreign diplomats when they visited Moscow. And he'll tell us a little bit about how they did this and how they planted information which eventually wound up in the press of the free world. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures.
Bangladesh crisis, which was described by American correspondents as Islamic grassroots revolution, which is absolute baloney. There was nothing to do with Islam, and there was no grassroots revolution. Actually, there are no grassroots revolutions, period. Any revolution is a byproduct of a highly organized group of conscientious and professional organizers, but it has nothing to do with grassroots. You can see me talking to students of Lumumba Friendship University in Moscow. This is a huge school under the direct control of the KGB and Central Committee, where future leaders of the so-called national liberation movements are being educated and selected carefully. And some of them have absolutely, this, for example, is a group of students from Lumumba. They don't look like students at all. They look more like military, and that's exactly what they were. They were dispatched back to their countries to be leaders of the so-called national liberation movements, or to be translated into normal human language, leaders of international terrorist groups. You can see me here in Kremlin. I'm second on the left, with a group of Pakistani and Indian intellectuals. Most of them pretended they don't understand that we are actually working on behalf of the Soviet government and the KGB. They pretended that they are actually being guests, VIP intellectuals, that they are treated according to their merits and their intellectual abilities. For us, they were just a bunch of political prostitutes to be taken advantage for various propaganda operations. In Bangladesh, it was nothing with grassroots. Most of the Awami League party members, Awami League means People's Party, were trained in Moscow in the high party school. Most of the Mukti Fauj leaders, Mukti Fauj in Bengali means People's Army, same as SWAPO and all kind of liberation armies all over the world, the same bunch of useful idiots. They were trained at Lumumba University and various centers of the KGB in Simferopol, in Crimea, and in Tashkent. So when I saw that Indian territory is being used as a jumping board to destroy East Pakistan, I saw myself thousands of so-called students traveling through India to East Pakistan, through the territory of India, and Indian government pretended not to see what's going on. They knew perfectly well, the Indian police knew it, the intelligence department of the Indian government knew it, the KGB of course knew it, and the CIA knew it. That was most infuriating, because when I defected and I explained to the CIA debriefers they should watch out because East Pakistan is going to erupt any moment, they said I was reading too many James Bond novels. Anyway, so East Pakistan was doomed. One of my colleagues in the Soviet consulate in Calcutta, when he was dead drunk, he ventured into the basement to relieve himself, and he found big boxes which said printed matter to Dhaka University. Dhaka is the capital of East Pakistan. And since he was drunk and curious, he opened one of the boxes and he discovered not printed matter. He discovered Kalashnikov guns and ammunition in there. Anyway, it's a long story. These are the most recruitable people, people who lack moral principles, who are either too greedy or too suffer from self-importance. They feel that they matter a lot. These are the people who KGB wanted very much to recruit.
Шейха Муджибура Рахмана принял председатель Президиума Верховного Совета СССР Николай Викторович Подгорный. Он тепло приветствовал высокого гостя и сопровождающих его.
They serve purpose only at the stage of destabilization of a nation.
You had to define the word leadership, for instance. What is true leadership?
True leadership comes through a process. A man cannot be leader by an accident, by one day. It must come through a process of a struggle. They must prove themselves that they must be above personal interest. They must be prepared to sacrifice their life for the cause of the humanity and cause of the people. They must have a principle. And they must have an ideology. If a leader has that qualities, he is a leader.
When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power.
An historic occasion for us, for the people of Bangladesh. We have in our midst, finally, the free Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the beloved leader of the people of Bangladesh and the leader of the oppressed people.
Obviously, they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot.
Two Bengali army officers, Colonel Farooq Rahman and Colonel Abdur Rashid, tell why they overthrew and killed Mujib, the man who'd been called the father of Bangladesh.
Did you all make any effort to make it known to Mujib that this should be changed?
Well, no, I cannot make any effort because I am just a junior officer in the army. I have no hand to tell him that you should correct yourself.
In these circumstances, couldn't you have forced him to resign, or was it necessary to kill him?
Now, you see, this, as I said earlier also, he's the man, say, up to the main point, but he's not an administrator. So in that only thing that he has got a very good quality to agitate the general mass. You see? So if he was remained alive, it would have been a very difficult for us to control the situation, whereby he is being a more experienced on the political side. So just to stay in the power, he could have done any sort of mischievous act at the cost of even the country also.
So you would think that had Mujib remained alive, he would have turned the tables on you all? And
yes, that would have been his first effort.
And so you had to eliminate, you felt you had to kill him?
Yes, I had to.
Once set on removing Mujib, the young colonels had to find someone to put in his place. Their obvious choice was a man of their own kind, an army man. So they approached Major General Zia.
Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The moment they serve their purpose, all the useful idiots are either be executed entirely, all the idealistically minded Marxists. Most of the Indians who were cooperating with the Soviets, especially with our Department of Information of the USSR Embassy, were listed for execution.